What's up, everyone? Welcome to today's video. Welcome to the Video Game Fight School channel. Thank you very much for tuning in. I didn't want to talk about this ever because you really can't win. People are emotionally invested in their console wars. So for the most part, whenever you're trying to talk in a logical sense, it doesn't matter. Emotion would sometimes cloud judgment, but some of you are reasonable people. So I feel like I can actually, in a sense, communicate with you on this matter. I titled my video, "Don't Be a Console Fanboy," because many people engage in these console wars without necessarily understanding that at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter to the corporation whether you support them or you're loyal to them. All that matters is that they're able to get you into their ecosystems and take money from you. So what you need to do is whomever gives you the best value, just go ahead and follow. The console war thing to me doesn't make any sense because at the end of the day, it's quite funny. Now, let me give you a side of this. Let me put my disclaimers out there. Number one, I do own Sony stocks and Microsoft stocks, but I own $20 of Microsoft and about $8 of Sony, which I actually purchased on Robinhood and as an example to show some of my students how Robinhood could actually allow for you to buy fractional shares. I don't necessarily invest in these companies, but I'm putting my disclaimers out there. And if you wanted to invest, it will make sense for you to invest on both of them because they're both profitable companies. Now you see that the money side is overall number one on the whole conversation. These memes are dumb, they're stupid, they're simplistic, they don't necessarily achieve or attain anything or any benefit on the long run. That's how you actually have to pay very close attention to this particular conversation. One of my audience members told me that they're ashamed to be an Xbox owner right now, that it doesn't seem like Xbox is putting any of these AAA games out there. And I said to myself, why would people be ashamed of actually doing this? Why are people ashamed of actually being on the Xbox ecosystem? What could be going on? Well, apparently to them, they think that if you have one of these platforms, your platform ought to be punching out these AAA titles. When in reality, if you actually have a platform, your platform is run by a corporation whose primary aim is to be punching out profits. That is the first thing you have to look at. Now, if at any rate the games that you want fall into the profitability of that company, then you will be served in that light. So I recommend that if you want AAA games and you're somebody who prioritizes these exclusives, I basically say you need to probably move to Sony's PlayStation platform because that's what their business model is actually about. If you don't necessarily care or you want to own them both, or you see that there's something about Xbox that you like, that you prefer, then stay in whichever platform you want. Sony's exclusives churn out money for them. It's actually a good business model for them. But many people pretend like Game Pass and Xbox is not profitable because they're always thinking about Microsoft's business model with the lenses of Sony's business model on. Let's go ahead and look at Game Pass. Since Microsoft announced that it was trying to acquire Activision, Game Pass's subscriptions basically have hit the double or multiple millions in terms of subscribers. So I went on Google and I said, how many Game Pass subscribers? And Google basically is citing this article saying that since in 2022, Microsoft claimed that there were over 25 million people subscribed to their Game Pass service. Now, somebody will hit me with there are some people who are using the Game Pass, the promotionals to continue to renew. Let's just say 5 million of those people are in the ecosystem, right? Let's just kind of churn out those numbers and say, okay, there are about 5 million people who are actually doing all of that. And then let's get our calculator out in order for us to be able to kind of see how things go. So 25 million minus 5 gives us 20 million, right? Let's do 20 million out here. Now, let's say each Game Pass member on average is actually subscribed for the $10 a month fee, which there are people that are subscribed to Ultimate, some people who are subscribed to the regular, but let's just say everyone is subscribed to the regular to kind of factor in for that. This is rough math, so, don't fight me. Let's just multiply the fact that they're doing it at $120, a year a pop. Per year, that's $2.4 billion. At $2.4 billion, let's just say your operational cost in regard to using your infrastructure and so on and so forth is somewhere around, say, a few hundred million. Let's just say 200 million, right? So now when we subtract 200 million from the equation, we're going to see that this still leaves us with $2.2 billion. Let's just say we also go ahead and we take, say, 30 million to acquire third-party titles to be day one on the platform, whereas we're still making our own games. So let's just subtract 30, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 million, and Game Pass is still profitable at around $2 billion. Or if we may say maybe after taxes, $1 billion. That is a lot of money. The company is doing what the company is supposed to do. So when people look at this particular paradigm, they have to be able to judge from that particular perspective first. Now, as to your AAA titles and so on and so forth, those come in as a secondary mandate to make more profitability. The challenge for many people to understand is they're not the primary means of what Microsoft is trying to use to drive its primary profitable niche. Instead, they've decided that since Sony is using that as its primary profitable niche, we're going to go the service route and provide a lot of value. So Sony, even though on surface is making these games and churning out all of this stuff as their primary business model, they have to continue doing that. Microsoft has decided we're going to take another route. Whether or not you like it is left for the consumer to decide. So if you want to sell your Xbox because you want these AAA games, I recommend that it might be the best thing for you to do at this point in time. This is exactly what I've been trying to tell a lot of people for a long time. It doesn't really matter where your business is going in a sense, as long as people are patronizing the Game Pass ecosystem, as long as people enjoy it, as long as there are games on there that provide people a lot of value for their money, as long as, they still have a reason to subscribe to these services, they're going to continue to do so. And Microsoft is going to maintain profitability that way, but they're still going to be making the AAA games. They're not making them. They're just not the primary aspect of churning money out of the other ecosystems. You could argue about Sony, but you also have to agree that with Sony's big console market and a lot of user base, you have to also say that they actually farm a lot of their cash from the live service games that provide exclusives, player time, and all that allow for them to be profitable by getting licensing fees, which they use to then make these so-called AAA games, because these so-called AAA games require money to make them. So Microsoft went out to go get theirs. That's basically what it is. So when you understand this stuff from a business perspective, it will really start to make sense, and you won't feel any kind of way. You're not going to jump into this meme nonsense that everybody is doing, citing titles and so on and so forth. Oh, our console has these games. Oh, look at Spider-Man 2. Oh, look at Horizon. You're wasting breath. Xbox and Microsoft are not going to change their business model because you feel like something or you're doing something. They're going to go with the business model that is profitable for them. I'll give you another example because these examples, they're really pertinent for these conversations. Look at Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. This was a game that really did, cause a lot of ruckus in the gaming scene. But here's the thing. Warner Brothers Games is going to be making live service games whether you like it or not. They're still going to be making their single player games, but they want to farm that, live service money because it's very profitable. They're not going to change their business model because you feel that your superheroes ought to live in superhero single player worlds. Get this into your head and you understand gaming and you know exactly how to move and spend your money. That's just the reality. If you think I'm lying, you're going to eat more live service titles in the next 5 years. Come back to this channel and tell me that I was right, please, because we already see it coming. They've already announced it. Sony has 11 in the works, even though their CEO is like, well, it'll be a boring world if live service games. They're going to make all 11 of them. Warner Bros. Is going to make live service games. Ubisoft's going to make live service games. EA is going to make live service games. They're going to make them. They're still going to make single player games. So you can just buy those single player ones. And if you don't want to support the live service ones, don't support them. But they're still going to make them because they make a lot of money if they actually resonate with their, audiences. This is business. You got to learn economics, folks. Gaming is one of the most important, highest, in terms of revenue and expenditure, software industry in the whole software segment of the market. So you better learn it from that perspective. If not, you're going to sit here on the internet like a lot of these people that are sitting over here memeing their way, thinking that this is some kind of a, I don't know. They think this is a productive way of looking at things. It's a simplistic way. It's quite, I don't want to reduce it or insult anybody, but if you're going with this route, I'm just saying that you're just going to miss the picture overall. And so this is what it is. I'm out. Thanks so much for watching. Peace out.